In 11.2, we're looking at geometric sequences, focusing on the explicit formula. So here is our explicit formula that you want to have on your page. So a sub n equals a sub 1 times r to the n minus 1 power. Now, a sub 1 is still our first term. We have a new letter, which is r, and that stands for our common ratio. So with arithmetic sequences, we were adding to get from one number in the sequence to the next. For geometric sequences, we're multiplying, and that's why we have r, a common ratio. So determine if the sequence is geometric. If it is, find the common ratio, the eighth term, and the explicit formula. So you always want to first start by determining if it's geometric, looking at going from 4 to -8, or sorry, -4 to -8, and multiplying by 2. -8 to -16, we're multiplying -8 by 2. -16 to -34, we're multiplying by 2. So that means r, our common ratio, equals 2. So once we know our common ratio, now we could multiply to find the eighth term, or we can make our formula first. So that's what I'm going to do. So that explicit formula was a sub n equals a sub 1 times r to the n minus 1 power. Now we know what r is. We need to know what a sub 1 is, and that's always your first term. So a sub 1 is -4. So now I'm going to plug into my formula. A sub n equals -4 times r. We know our common ratio is 2. And then to the n minus 1 power. And we're just going to leave it like that. We're not going to do anything with our exponent. We're not going to multiply. That is our formula. So now, if we want to find the eighth term, that means we're going to plug 8 in for n. So a sub 8 equals -4 times 2 to the 8 minus 1 power. Now from here we could plug this into our calculator. You could do some simplifying. So a to the 8th equals -4 times 2, 8 minus 1 is 7. So at this point I'm going to take this and plug this into my Desmos calculator. So we have -4 times 2 to the 7th power. And we get, double check, that was -500. Wow. So here are, I will highlight all our answers for this question. So it's geometric, yes, because there's a common ratio. There's our explicit formula, and here's our eighth term. So determine if the sequence is geometric. If it is, find the common ratio, the eighth term, and the explicit formula. So first, is the sequence geometric? Right? So let's look. From 3 to 9, we get there by multiplying by 3. 9 to 7, multiply by 3. 27 to 81, multiply by 3. Now, if you're ever unsure, you can work backwards and do division. So, for example, 9 divided by 3 equals 3. So that's how I get there. 27 divided by 9 equals 3. So that's how I get that, 3. 81 divided by 9 by 27 equals 3. So that's how I get there. So if you're ever unsure what you're multiplying by, work backwards and divide. So that means our common ratio equals 3. So now I'm going to skip finding the 8th term. I'm going to go straight to my explicit formula. So remember that is A sub n equals our first term times our ratio to the n minus 1 power. So A sub 1 is 3. So A sub n equals 3. Our ratio was also 3 to the n minus 1 power. So A sub n So this is our answer for our explicit formula. So we found our common ratio, we found our explicit formula, and now we need to find that 8th term by plugging in 8 for n, because that's the term we're trying to find. So 3 times 3 to the 8 minus 1 power, which means 3 times 3 to the 7th power. We could take that to our Desmos calculator. 3 times 3 to the 7th power. So that's 6,561. It's our 8th term. So I've boxed all of our answers. I'll highlight them just in case. Our common ratio, our explicit formula, and our 8th term. So your homework is going to ask for all those parts too. Right. Given the explicit formula for a geometric sequence, find the first 4 terms and the 8th term. So with these, now we're just plugging in. So for A sub 1, negative 3 to the times 2 to the 1 minus 1 power. From here, negative 3 times 2 to the 0 power. You could plug that into a calculator if you needed. It would equal negative 3. A sub 2, negative 3 times 2 to the 2 minus 1 power. So negative 3 times 2 to the first power. If you needed to, you could plug that into the calculator. It's negative 6. So now finish. Find A sub 3, A sub 4, and A sub 8. Alright, I've gone ahead and I've worked it all out. If you didn't get these right, check your answer, check your work. You should have had the 3rd term is negative 12, the 4th term is negative 24, and the 8th term is negative 384. And that is geometric sequences using the explicit formula.